This video is by Moon. He makes documentaries pertaining to whatever the hell. This one's called Where Are Porn Stars Today? Where are they? Are they? They're not in my drawer. Oh, they're buried in my backyard. We're gonna check this out, see what's going on. Where are they? Where are the stars, you know? Just so you know, I'm gonna be making a bunch of porn-related puns just for the cum of it, just for the cunt of it, just for the fun of it. Let's get right into it. Let's splooge all over this. Let's finish this.
I'm killing you. I'm killing you. I don't care about anything else. I don't give a shit about anything else.
A disturbing pattern has emerged in the adult film industry. Young stars with their whole lives ahead of them have drifted off of the rails, gone missing, or even died. With at least 5 of these tragedies in the past 3 months, what's going so terribly wrong within the industry to lead to this? And how is this industry destroying society as a whole? Well, let's find out where these formerly acclaimed adult film stars are today. You see, Emily Willis was one of the few examples of a success.
We haven't even started. I mean, I only recognize one of these prawn stars. Goddamn Mia Khalifa, of course. How would you not? How would you not?
Boy, if you don't...
The subpar porn star who's known all around the world and has lots of money, yet isn't very good at what she does. Where is she today? I'm presuming things right now. It seems that this documentary is trying to come off as if it's like all this stuff's really bad. I mean, we haven't jumped into it, you never know. Ooh. But she's doing fine, you know. I made a video about her, right? One of her, link right here. One of her friggin' fans got a tattoo and she's just like, that's dumb, you're stupid, loser, lame, gooner. On top of shitting on her fans and then her fans shits on her. She seems like she's doing all right. Okay. I should probably just wait until I get some more information. So let's just. This
was one of the few examples of a success story in adult film, and her early life reads like the dream of anyone looking to make their way into the industry. While details about her life are shaky, it seems like lots of stars she began with nothing. Growing up in a small village in Utah, Emily was a quiet, introverted girl growing up. She kept a low profile during high school, moving out to San Diego to try and build a life for herself. But after some short-lived jobs in sales that didn't work out, Emily was broke. She had no money and nothing to do, all whilst living in one of the most expensive places in America. But then suddenly, at the age of 18, Emily was swiping through Tinder, matching with different guys, until she would meet a man called Andre Garcia, who she began to date shortly after. But this was far from any fairy tale romance story, and it wasn't just a regular date, because Garcia is now known as one of the most infamous men behind girls, a sinister website which acted as just one of many tube sites online. Garcia and his colleagues would trick and coerce women into appearing in adult videos, which they told them would only ever be sold as DVDs outside of the country. Sometimes they would offer young girls work as models, only to later force them into doing nude videos instead. They even hired another young woman to convince potential victims to go along with it, figuring that would seem more trustworthy.
Ah, god damn it, people. The Ghislaine Maxwell strategy.
Masters,
FBI agent.
there are too many of them. What are we going to do?
Anyone who's familiar with the charges levied against Andrew Tate, which are legitimate. He says it himself in his goddamn videos.
I walked in there and said, listen, I've committed multiple felonies. Am I going to go to jail? Well, probably. Well, then see ya! Bye!
He details exactly what he did, and during his method of acquisition, client acquisition, wasn't just he'd pitch these things or sort of gradually introduce them into this through various lewd activities. He would hire what they call a bottom bitch. I think that's the name. It's a way to be able to more accessibly pitch these things to these young impressionable prawnzers, because I guess hearing this type of news from another woman makes it seem like it's more legitimate. It's a pimp strategy. These guys be pimpin'. So that makes sense how someone, especially at the age of 18, would excessively fall into that. It's a trap, dude. It sucks. Now, I'm not against the prawns industry. I'm not against P0rn's work or sex work. It's just, it needs to be a little bit more organic rather than just like, shit, I have no money and I'm desperate. And I'm in a position where I'm more susceptible to these negative influences. That's where it becomes really disgusting. That's the thing. Just make people desperate, deprive them of money, expect ridiculous, like they just brought up San Diego, right, being one of the more expensive places. Yeah, great way to take advantage of people. Oh shit, you need money and you need a good amount of it? Here, do this. It's a quick way to make lots of money. That's it, actually. It's a quick way and it makes lots of money. There you go. Boom.
Boom!
P0rn's did. You're now my prostitute.
You done know.
You need some goddamn money? Well, the goddamn chicken's cold.
I was raised in a broken and abusive household.
This chicken is cold!
When I turned 17, I ran away to Hong Kong, where I met Triad boss Kenny Wu, my first love.
Bitch, this chicken is cold!
And that's how the abuse perpetuates itself. Let's go.
Seem more trustworthy. Emily was just one of the many girls they exploited, but her story went much further than most of the others. Her videos proved immensely popular on the site, and soon enough, she was receiving offers from all sorts of different producers to star in their videos. It wasn't always easy. Emily's family were distraught when they learned about her new career, and it completely destroyed their family relationship for years, as you can imagine. But on the surface, it seemed like everything was going well. This is how the industry tricks women into joining it in the first place, and how it tricks young men into thinking it's acceptable to watch. Everything seems great on the surface until you find out some very nasty, sinister consequences, the side of the industry nobody wants you to know, as Emily would soon find out. After this, Emily would soon star in over 700 films over the course of her career, for which she won multiple awards and became one of the most popular actresses on the internet. But more than that, Emily even began making a career outside of the industry and branched out into other online spaces. She even went on the Sidemen's real-life Tinder videos, which gained over 56 million views. But behind the scenes of all these vlogs, all of these videos, all of this money and fame, was a gnawing mental health problem, a nagging voice inside of her. You see, Emily was dealing with terrible addiction problems. Surrounded by young people working for fast money, it's inevitable that these people will encounter drugs at some point. But eventually, the lifestyle of being in this industry and being swept into this line of work got far too much for her to bear, and so she retired from making videos at just 23 years old. A good move, but the damage it did was starting to take a toll, as unfortunately the downward spiral that industry sent her into couldn't be reversed. And 2 years later, on February the 5th of 2024, everything changed, and when Emily was tragically admitted to critical care at a California hospital after suffering from a heart attack just a week after entering a rehab facility. This happened because she had overdosed, which put her in a coma for 2 months, and despite waking up recently, doctors don't believe she'll ever fully recover, but hopefully she does. And now this might seem like a very tragic but isolated incident. However, unfortunately, it's an increasingly common story within the industry. You see, of course, we all know these sites, the people making these videos, and the production companies behind them are always exploitative. Young unstable people looking for quick money can use it as a crutch to support a fast lifestyle, instant fame, success, and money and validation that destroys you morally later on. Meanwhile, there's plenty of people and companies eager to exploit their fleeting popularity before moving on to the next victim. But with the rise of the internet and the massive explosion of tube sites, it's all gotten so much worse. The tube sites sell themselves as offering a kind of freedom and empowerment for the performers in the videos, but in actuality, they've only made things far more competitive and cutthroat for people looking to enter the industry. The sheer amount of choice in videos on these platforms mean women rarely get a chance to make a name for themselves. The majority star in just 2 or 3 videos before giving it up. For the little pay they do receive, they've traded their privacy and their dignity. The videos they are in rarely get removed from the internet and stick around forever as they get uploaded over and over again, showing one of the most intimate acts to the entire world.
Yep. In fact, this applies to virtually every industry. Not to delegitimize all this stuff, but it's gross, man.
Disgusting!
Like internships. That's just like exploitation. Oh, you gotta earn your keep. You gotta get experience. That gives me a seemingly further justification to exploit your labor from you. Well, you're unknown. You don't deserve this money. You want this bag? You gotta fucking earn it.
Take off your clothes.
Yet, like, when you look at people who earn these things, not to say all the stuff that they go through is, didn't require some degree of effort, labor, detraction from their well-being. Things aren't where they should be. Things end up where they are. That's it. Why is it that this lady who jumped into this was able to succeed so excessively? Was it just from the output of videos? 700 videos by the, end of 2024 or 2023? My goodness. Oh man.
Now that's a lot of damage!
That's a whole edge load of content right there. That's plenty to goon to. It sucks. Was the heart attack related to the drugs and such? He only showed a few articles. That's young, man. Very young to be having a heart attack. What does that say about all the stuff they were getting up to? All the stuff that was thrusted upon them under the guise of making progress, quote unquote, in their career pursuits, which it seems this career was also thrusted upon them. Thrusted. Ah, Jesus.
I'm going to jail!
She had a goddamn heart attack. Show some goddamn respect. Show some goddamn erect. It sucks, dude. The reality of things. People are just fucking awful. The things that we do to each other. There is no edge to what we do to each other.
Edge.
Edge.
Have you ever been on an edging streak? Edge.
Edge.
Do they keep you in a state of edging? Edge.
Edge.
When you're not performing your edging, do they make you goon? Edge.
Edge.
Riz.
Riz.
I said I was gonna do porn. I was gonna do puns. I'm not gonna apologize. But let's not derail too early. Let's not finish too early. We've got plenty more to get through, to swallow.
The videos they are in rarely get removed from the internet and stick around forever as they get uploaded over and over again, showing one of the most intimate acts to the entire world repeatedly for an audience of millions. However, for the majority of performers that don't make it through the industry, there are a few people who have a different story. One of them is the infamous Mia Khalifa. Fleeing her home country of Lebanon as a child and moving to the United States, Khalifa's life was relatively ordinary at first. After graduating high school, she went to college to study art whilst working as a waitress and a model on the side. But when she was 21, she was approached to star in adult films, which almost overnight brought her huge fame and success, if you want to put it that way.
I am just loving the success and loving everything that I've gotten because of it.
And I say that because the way she gained fame and success was probably done in one of the worst ways possible. You see, in one of her first videos, Khalifa and her co-star were wearing hijabs, and that became its whole own news story. Death threats and anger came flooding in from across the Middle East, while news outlets like CNN and the Washington Post caught on and almost instantly made her a household name. And overnight, she became the most searched for name on the most popular websites. Mrs. time in the industry was short, and she clearly got—
Man, what a retaliation. Retaliation to that retaliation was that it gave her the immense amount of influence, right? Oh, you did something that was offensive? I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna destroy you, I'm gonna ruin you.
I'm killing you.
Yeah, it was like, oh shit, the news articles, they hear that? Look at all this thing, it's offensive to these people. And then it reinforces the cycle of attention circulation. And my goodness, look what it did. From the sounds of, from what I hear in my previous research, not that research, cool it, okay? I know enough about her. Not more than enough, I've known enough. Seen a couple videos, I'm kind of like, all right, I don't need to watch any more of this. I mean, you know, she seems to be doing very well, at least as of right now in her life. I don't know what's going on mentally speaking, but it's like her influence, her success, her notoriety, it's a better word to use when it comes to her. The life that she has afforded, she was able to pull herself away. I mean, it's still attached to you, but I mean, that just applies to everything, everyone. People are always going to thrust stuff upon you, regardless of what you do and don't do. In this particular case, this type of thing is going to linger, it's going to follow her, but it's like, that's sort of her being able to react to that, that's going to be on her. And she just is going to have to learn to deal with it, right? Especially given what it's afforded to her as a result, the life that she has. Real quick. Ooh, wow. You can do whatever you want with that.
What does it take to teach memeology at iFunny's Meme Academy? I did my undergrad at Columbia, got my master's at Harvard, and a PhD from Oxford in memeology. Nah, I'm just kidding. I got kicked out of community college for smoking weed.
It sucks, all the stuff, given context to everything, and it is good to look at it through a compassionate lens. But if you can traverse these things and you can make your way through it, you can be fine. You can be fine. It's just, and in Mia Khalifa's case, she was 21 when she got into this stuff, and it happened like that.
Very.
No! In terms of the success afterwards. So it's like someone like her, I'm just like, The previous girl, Emily or whatever, it's like, yeah, okay, I have a little bit more compassion there. But when it comes to Mia, especially given the type of person Mia is, she's kind of a bitch.
You play with them balls like it's FIFA.
Less compassion there, but still, whatever.
Industry was short, and she clearly got the paycheck she was looking for. Despite saying that she was only paid $12,000 over the course of her career, the companies who made her videos have said that it was at least 10 times that much. But even in this best case scenario of becoming the most popular star on around in just a few short videos, Mia still says she has a bunch of regrets. She's described how difficult it has been to shake this reputation, to find a regular job, or to ever be taken seriously.
I would say that if I had never met that person, I never would have done the things that people know me for doing, and I could have just been living life normally, making $18 an hour, hopefully, somewhere.
But you can't feel too sorry for her. I mean, it's hard to distance yourself.
I was about to say, the next part says, you can't feel too sorry for her, absolutely. But also, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. You really would be doing that? I mean, most people do, and they would, but someone like Mia, would you really be doing that? Sticking to a regular shit job that treats you like garbage and underpays you and exploits your value from you, given what you have in terms of your physicality.
Come here, girl. Go ahead, be gone with it. Come to the back. Go ahead, be gone with it.
I don't believe you. Oh man, and I do sincerely doubt that you really regret it. So would you, if you were to go back and never, you say if you never met that person who introduced you into that, you wouldn't be doing prawns, but do you regret the—
You're a whore. You're a whore, just admit it.
That came along with it. I don't think you regret the thing itself. You regret all the stuff that other people thrust upon you as a result of this and what you've afforded for yourself. If you were to go back and change it, you probably would have done the same thing. You just may have, I don't know, I don't know if you have the mindset to really have been able to deal with the turmoil caused by what people are thrusting upon you as a result of your decision. You probably would still make the same decisions. And you probably would, how do you say? For you, the benefit for having done these things outweighs all the other stuff that has been thrusted upon you. Told you I was gonna keep doing that shit. Anyways, Moon, why should we not feel too bad for Mia? Let's hear it from you, Moon.
Sorry for her. I mean, it's hard to distance yourself from the industry that brought you your fame, especially when you're still using the same false name that most people know you by. Her criticism of the industry rings hollow when she still runs an OnlyFans and profits off of the fame she made from it. Simply working as an actor in any way in the industry has permanent consequences. Even with all of the fame and money that Mia got from her short-lived career, it will never buy back her privacy or remove all of the content that still continues to haunt her today. For most actresses and—
That's what I meant. You're doing OnlyFans still. And not just that, there's all sorts of stuff tied to that, right? There's like sponsorships that or other unrelated business deals. It's just what you do with it that's gonna have more of an effect on what you're able to do in these following years, in the upcoming years. You're in a very nice position. Me quieren agitar, me incitan a gritar. And with that, you're able to do so much more. That shit's always gonna hang over your head, but all these things are always hanging over people's heads. Always. People are always gonna apply whatever crap that they want to people for whatever reason. For her, it seems like she's able to run with it and almost sort of like siphon pity points or victim points.
You're a victim. There we go, see it?
So that, I guess that's nice, right? I guess that's kind of validating in the moment, but it's sort of just like, dude, Sasha Grey, that's a perfect example.
All right, that looks more or less 12 inches. Don't ask me how I know. I'm already waiting for those jokes.
She did the same amount of stuff. I'd argue she did more stuff. I think she did, and she was way better at it. She did way more crazy grunge stuff, but she just rolled with it.
And I've heard that you do gangbang scenes. What is a gangbang scene?
It's just a large group of men with one girl.
Whoa. And how many guys have been on you at one time in one scene?
I did one of those and it was 15 guys.
Wow. 15 guys on you. How did you tell your family?
Now she's doing fine, it seems. She just took it and ran. She just took it up the butt and finished with it.
Most actresses and actors though, they get far less money and fame and still have to deal with all of the same consequences. They can't live off a few months' work for the rest of their lives by appearing on podcasts. They have to get real jobs. Something that a career in the industry makes a lot harder if it ever gets out. There are other problems that such a career can make for you, even though society is still squeamish about discussing it. Studies have shown time and time again that for many people out there, having a large number of partners before marriage can sometimes make it more likely that you will actually get divorced. Of course, this isn't an ironclad rule, and it doesn't mean that your past determines your future, but it is still a social pattern. Even taking in Mia Khalifa's string of divorces into account seems to prove the point, especially if you have this content out there on the internet. I mean, commodifying your past relationships and selling intimacy as a product is always going to be worse for your future happiness.
I also like how you set it up saying how that's not an ironclad determining factor, right? It depends on how you conduct yourself as an individual. Granted, if you were to apply the statistics, right, it seems based on research that that is the outcome of a bunch of sex partners before you get into a traditional monogamous relationship with somebody.
We promised monogamous sex. I thought we promised monogamous sex. I didn't know. I didn't know.
And yes, all those other things. There's all sorts of other people who've done stuff like that and had the same stuff with other prawn stars who've done this thing and had these things applied to them and don't even have a fraction of what Mia Khalifa has. And the opportunities that was afforded to Mia Khalifa isn't the same for all these other people who are trying to do this, who did the same thing. Okay, yes. Thanks for the info, Moon. Yes, I agree with these points that you're making. So he's still sort of going on as to why you shouldn't feel too bad for someone like Mia Khalifa, given that we've all a lot of people who watch this video probably heard about her. That's another thing. Here's just an unrelated tangent. She's not even that good. She was kind of just a fish, just a prop. Isn't there supposed to be a performance to it? Yeah, that's what I meant by Sasha Grey was so much better. More personality, more flavor, more ability. That's why I'm sort of just like, yeah, it's not about talent, ability, skill. Look at Mia Khalifa. Got in at 21, only took them a few videos for them to be known as Mia Khalifa and to afford all these opportunities as a result. And she isn't even necessarily good at the thing that she did and that she's known for. And then people want to look at the stature and be like, oh my God. You know, not just this from the material that she makes, but oh my God, dude, she must be really good at what she does. Look at her stature in the hierarchy. Look at all those millions. That must mean that she's one of the best at what she does. It's like, no, guys. She did something in a certain way that got her to where she is by doing something in that certain way. It has nothing to do with the merit of what she's doing. Merits. We're not going to get into that argument. Can there be merit to prawns? I think there can be. There's more to things than you'd think. They can be art. It usually isn't. But you know, the way you show something, the performance, the how you introduce certain things, how you go about displaying information, it's filmmaking. It can be. Usually it's just some guy, recording himself on the phone, just
out there on the internet. I mean, commodifying your past relationships and selling intimacy as a product is always going to be worse for your future happiness, and especially terrible if you ever get married and the guy finds out. Even though this is a harsh truth for serial dating that society expects and celebrates today, it doesn't make it any less true. It's less clear whether simply watching adult films has the same effect though. We at least know that it can have a negative effect for people already in serious relationships. Whether it makes a difference beforehand is still kind of up in the air, but you can imagine it probably would. But as we'll soon find out, this may be the least concerning problems that people in the industry face. It can be easy to focus solely on women in the industry. It's inevitably what most of the actual films are focused on. They're the big names that draw the biggest audiences, but tons of the same problems that women face are equally challenging for men as well. Bill Bailey was just one of those male stars. To begin with, making it as a man in the industry is more harder than you'd think. The pressures to perform under harsh lighting for hours at a time isn't something that most people could ever deal with. The use of performance enhancers like Viagra is so widespread it's almost expected, but those who can deal with the pressure and make a name for themselves can often have far longer careers than women, starring in lots of videos. Bill Bailey was one of these men, appearing in over 2,000 videos across his career. Viagra isn't the only drug that gets abused in the industry. The use of other stimulants like amphetamines are very common.
That Emily lady had 700 videos. Granted, he's probably been in it for longer, but 2,000, oh my God. And I imagine it's way more physically taxing for the dude, unless the girl's really good and actually tries. Which, that's not necessarily a mandatory prerequisite, but imagine for a dude, oh man. Also, Adderall?
10 more minutes until 40 millivanilligrams of this Adderall kick in. Let me tell you something, I'm feeling pretty intelligent right now. Ask me anything in the comments, I bet I can answer that whole lickety split here. Milo, get your every eye in the house, boy.
That's what I took in high school for ADHD as ADHD medication. Could I have been a prawn star?
Like amphetamines are very common, as well as heavy alcohol use to deal with this lifestyle, and it was this vice that would lead to Bill's tragic death. You see, whilst attending an industry expo in early March of 2019, people reported seeing Bill drinking heavily throughout the day. Later that night, while staying in a 4th floor apartment with his girlfriend, Bill fell over the handrail of his balcony and plummeted 4 stories to the ground, and local reports claimed that he was involved in some kind of argument before the incident, but authorities ruled that there was no foul play involved. Obviously though, male stars working within the industry are a very small group compared to all of the men that are affected by it. However tragic the performers' stories might be, the real changes to society come from mass consumption by the audience and the effects it has on them. We've known for about 20 years now that addiction and addictive behaviors cause fundamental negative changes to the brain. Studies on addictive drugs show damage to the frontal lobes from sustained use. It isn't just the effects of the substances themselves. Even in people with an addiction to food, we see the same degradation and loss of brain matter. These changes are clear through people's behavior, as well as through an MRI machine. Addicts are more likely to show poor judgment towards their own actions and the consequences that come with them. They lose their willpower and their ability to resist these addictions. They become more impulsive and emotionally unstable. We now understand that addictions seem to replace that reward system in our brains used to regulate normal life. They get hijacked, redirecting your own ambition for success and happiness towards the focus of the addiction. These addictions and the negative effects they have are exactly the same for sexual activity and the
Dude, it's like a never-ending, oh man, the worse you do, the worse it's gonna be. The more you succumb, the harder it's gonna be, and it's way harder to climb out of that. That's hard. It's kind of like money, right? Making money. The more money you make, the more money you're gonna make. The less money you make, the less you're gonna make. It's sort of like, it feeds into itself.
I have Ouroboros.
And that's the difficult thing too. I've never really personally struggled. Well, I used to be morbidly obese, right? And I was able to fix it, but like, I don't know if that's more so like a reflection of like my lack of addictive tendencies. I don't really know. I mean, I don't really want to test that. It's sort of like you don't want to let the barn animals out of the barn because it's harder to wrangle them back in. You want to keep it contained. You want to be able to indulge in these things in a healthy, intelligent fashion. But it's like, just a slip up. That's a very steep incline, let's just say.
For sexual activity and the consumption of adult material. The content offers an alternative to a fulfilling, healthy life and connections with other people, a great social group, deep, meaningful relationships, connection with the society around you. Instead, adult content is a replacement that's far easier to get, but which alienates you from what's truly valuable in life. And companies like MindGeek.
But ironically, society kind of cultivates that. Let's be real here.
David, I mean, I know you're a sophisticated guy. The world is a mess. The world is as angry as it gets.
Especially American society. It's messed up. If you just put people in these really desperate, deprived scenarios, they're more apt to succumb to stuff like this, which, that's great for making money, baby. That's great for accumulating them coins. It's really, really messed up. People can try to connect, but it's like a constant, like, you have to constantly put that on yourself. You have to like refine that as a skill set. It's not just gonna be there or afforded to you just by circumstance. It's an ability, and it's not easy, dude. It's not easy. So these things are almost set up for you to kind of just succumb.
And companies like MindGeek, the owner of most of the major tube sites, have turned this addictive component into a multi-billion-dollar money machine, using the same techniques and algorithms as sites like TikTok and YouTube. They've put the best minds, the most intelligent programmers, psychologists, billions in research and development, endless tests and trials, A/B testing to figure out the best way to hack into men's brains and exploit their inner systems, making a generation of wankers. This is one of the largest changes to society we've seen in the 21st century, and we're only now learning what
a whole ocean of fucking wankers, yeah. You're all just a bunch of gooners and coomers and ejaculators. Sorry, I just thought the image was, it's fucked up, but I just thought the image was kind of humorous.
And we're only now learning what the real consequences are. A shocking 87% of college-age men in America watch adult content, 50% weekly and 20% every single day. And these numbers are only going up. I mean, is it any surprise that nearly a third of young men are now going without intimate contact for years at a time? They're both having their willpower taken away while being offered an easy alternative at the same time. That ambition to do great things and accomplish something in your life is being squashed and redirected, all to line the pockets of some shady people at a shady company that nobody's even heard of. Coincidentally, MindGeek recently changed their name.
The shadiness, the shady company, and the awful people running these things, they're just a symptom of the environment. There's so many things that are built in a certain way to push people in these types of directions. This is simply just a product of what already exists in the world. No wonder why so many people are succumbing to it. It makes 100% sense. Sex. Makes 100% sex. It's designed to siphon people's sort of like their livelihood from them, because like people are directly incentivized, monetarily speaking, to build things in a way to, well, the environment is designed in a certain way to facilitate this type of siphoning. The fact that so many men are very lonely and aren't in relationships, like that's not just prawns. That's one thing. And prawns just came in to sort of like, oh shit, the gold mine, baby, I'm gonna sell people shovels now. That's what they're doing. They're just taking advantage of the way that things are. It's messed up, dude. Wow, depressing video, but if you made it this far, thanks for watching. And if the jokes there's definitely a lot of cutaway memes here, which they're just having a bit of a laugh, a wee bit of a goof, a wee bit of a goon, a wee bit of a coom. Gotta laugh in the face of the void to come to terms with it. It's just, otherwise it'll bring you down. You'll just feel sad. Thank you for watching.
Part of. Coincidentally, MindGeek recently changed their name to ALO, a few months after a documentary was released on Netflix shining a light on their shady practices. And at the bottom of this pyramid are all the countless stars and performers that produce the content that fuels this money machine, making schoolgirls, normal people, broke people, anyone and everyone to become their own stars and make their own OnlyFans, whilst addicting almost every single man to becoming more disconnected from society. Most of the people who make their way through the industry pipeline come out the other end with a few dollars and a bunch of regrets. Recruiters look for people with troubled backgrounds, who have enough of a negative self-image to consider the work in the first place. But the work never solves their problems, and generally makes them worse. Even the famous and popular performers can easily hit rock bottom once the work dries up, just like the subject of our next story, Jenny Lee. Like most of the people we've talked about today, Jenny came from humble beginnings. Born in the early 80s, she grew up in Clarksville, a small city in Tennessee, before beginning her career as a model, then as an adult film star. Her looks and her personality quickly caught on in the industry, getting her work in over 100 films to date. From 2003 to 2009, Jenny made a name for herself, rising up the ranks and becoming incredibly popular with fans. Even today, over a decade after she retired, her name is still on the list of top performers on tube sites. And yet despite her work, Jenny got married at just 22 years old, although rather expectedly by 2006 she was divorced from her husband. The question is,
I was gonna say, this lady, the last one, 100 videos versus the first lady who was more modern, 700. Is the output, just because the accessibility, is the output, like, is there more of a requirement for that? Jesus. Is there some correlation there? It's like, oh man, I don't know, it's just a random thought. That's just, They probably won't address that, but it's just interesting.
And yet despite her work, Jenny got married at just 22 years old, although rather expectedly by 2006 she was divorced from her husband. The question is, where is she now? Well, it's not really a fairy tale ending. After trying to leave the industry in 2009, Jenny Lee moved to Vegas to work as a model, but we can gather that her career didn't actually plan out as expected. She was still allegedly appearing in films all the way until 2016 when she appeared to drop off the face of the earth. That was until 3 years later when a Dutch film crew exploring the tunnels under Las Vegas inexplicably found her living there in a vast network of homeless people. The brief interview they conducted with her is shocking to watch, but by her own admission she seems kind of okay with how things turned out.
But I'm happy. I have everything I need here.
It's thought that between 1,000 and 1,500 people live in the tunnels under Sin.
Damn. Oh man. Yeah, there was a video by Channel 3 going into the Vegas tunnels. Seen that? That's crazy. Is that where the standard's at? They could be in a place that's so seemingly deprived and still find better, more happiness there than what was before. Oh man, dude. It makes sense why people end up where they are. Just look at the way things are, man. Look at the world that humans built. Look what we do to each other. It's grotesque, man. It really is. It sucks. Humans, man.
Oh, Jaden, you're just cynical. You're just a nihilist, Jaden. Just ignore. Just find ways to pretend that it's not real, that all this shit that we do to each other is fucking fake, and you just stop being a little...
Yes, I'm the crazy one, sure, for pointing it all out. Sorry for reminding you how the way things are, but I feel like understanding it allows you some degree of control, because if you're not able to anticipate what happens to you, how are you supposed to react accordingly to it? This is part of reality. Welcome to humans, man. This is what we do to each other. And for what? So that we can benefit at each other's expense. Yep. Wow. Whew. Gross, terrible, evil.
People live in the tunnels under Sin City. Jenny describes their life as hard, but that the shared struggles breed a sense of community amongst the other lost people who made their lives underground. Now, of course, there's a bunch of dangers here, from flash floods and sewage to rats, addicts, and extreme temperatures, not to mention crime. However, since this interview, not much has been known about Jenny's life. She might still be down there,
But also, it's pretty much illegal to be poor. Homeless people are, everywhere you go, they're treated poorly. But in a place like America, which only cares about money and vanity, you're gonna get treated poorly. At any second, somebody could pass a law and be like, we're gonna clear out all you guys in the tunnel. Screw you guys, because we just don't like the thought of you guys being down there. We're not gonna help you. We're not gonna set things up for you to be able to succeed. We're just gonna make things harder for you because we don't care. Yep, humans.
Scratching out and living amongst other people who don't judge her for her looks or her background. It should be clear at this point what's going on in the industry. It takes people who are generally already unstable because of their childhoods and lures them in with fast money. They trade away their dignity and their privacy, and even if they're successful, the industry will just spit them out a few years later. This has been going on for decades, but the question still remains, why is it getting worse now? Websites like OnlyFans and other self-promotion tools claim they're giving the power to the performers and taking it away from a predatory industry, which is a crazy thing to say when these sites are just incentivizing normal regular people to start becoming online adult stars. And if their claims were actually working, we wouldn't be seeing the disturbing rise in the casualties. Instead, OnlyFans is one small part of a group of problems that are hitting performers one after another. The site essentially helped carry on the work of the tube sites by creating a single global marketplace. While this might sound liberating, in fact it only makes the competition far harder for actresses that would have had stable deals with production companies just a decade or two before. In the same way that dating apps have made it far harder for men to find someone by giving people so many different options, it's done the same thing to the adult film industry. Then there's all the problems that people working in the industry already faced, that have only gotten worse. There may not even be that many more substance abuse issues than there were 5 years ago, but the risks today are far greater. New synthetic drugs, which are both far more potent and far more deadly, have flooded the market, and are used to numb the pain and fill the dad-shaped hole left in these stars. And as their drugs get more and more tainted, they need higher doses to even live with their lifestyle choices. It's making the lives of these performers far more dangerous. The mental health crisis that the rest of the world is going through is just as bad as in the adult film industry, if not more so. Performers in the industry get PTSD at 70% of the rate of combat veterans, either from the trauma that brought them to the industry in the first place, or from trauma which happened on set, and even after being on set.
Wow. 70% at the rate at 70% that veterans receive, who go and see people die and kill. Oh man, Jesus! Everywhere you turn, every place you just peel back layers, just so much depravity. Are my memes in bad taste? Not like bad taste as in like. See, we're all culpable. Rinse your mouth out, lady. Here, take some mouthwash. Get that gunk out of your system. Oh man. Oh Jesus.
And after being on set. At the end of the day, it's an industry of victims. It preys on the weak and broken to make its content, whilst trapping its audience in an addictive cycle. As long as video cameras still exist, the industry isn't going anywhere, but new technologies like AI threaten to change everything. On the one hand, replacing the jobs of performers with AI could ultimately lead to fewer broken lives, but it would also make things far worse for the audience. Giving people access to a way to visualize whatever their desires might be would only make people go further down the addiction rabbit hole. We're already seeing that happen with deepfakes today, With the crazy stuff with AOC and Trump together, you can only imagine what sick things will be made in the coming years. And the efforts of some states to ban the content entirely and stop people from accessing it won't work either. Even just banning adult entertainment sites, like the state of Texas did with Pornhub, isn't enough to stop the flood. In the same way that prohibition never worked for drugs or alcohol, or anything else, people always find a way to get access to it if the root problem is still there. If the discontent, loneliness, alienation is all pervasive within their society, people will always flock to this content to fill the gaping hole inside of them. In fact, it will completely shut down the kinds of regulation that could actually reduce the harm that the industry causes. The only way for people to really protect themselves is to isolate yourself from it entirely. Breaking that addictive cycle and not fueling an industry that entirely relies on exploitation is the only way to make sure it can't ruin your life.
That's a lot of heavy themes there, dude. Man. Is it intrinsically bad, the displaying of these intimate acts, quote unquote? Given what people do with it, for the most part, it seems that that's the outcome. Just like with anything, people, for the most part, can't treat these things with respect. There's sort of just exploitation, there's vulnerability, there's victimization. There's the absolute worst of people because they know how lucrative something can be. Because why would these people not exploit these things if they're tangibly benefited from it? This is the world that humans built. This is what we do to each other.